its purpose is to startle us. Because, we're not in the information age anymore. The information age died a long time ago. Now there's too much information. We're drowning in information, kind of starving for wisdom. And so what gets our attention, what snaps us, is something that jolts us. And so that's why it's your child may die of drinking water, film 11, it was just, we see the insanity and how it builds more insanity. So in a world where there's so much negativity poured on a daily basis, we miss all the extraordinary things that are happening in the world. So I'm just wondering for each of you, what are the things that give you tremendous hope for the future? When things start to get a bit stressful or overwhelming, or looks like the end of the world to some people, you guys don't go there. I don't either. But what is it that gives you a hopeful and a optimistic and a sense of certainty that the future will be even better than today? Tell us your point of view. I'd love to start with you again, Bill.
Well, I think there's so many different ways to make the world a better place. If you're a teacher, you can teach thousands of kids in your lifetime and make a big difference there. If you're a preacher, you can change people's lives by telling them to see something that they don't see. If you're a lawyer, you can make laws to try and change things. I'm a technologist, so I love that way of doing things. I can't do the other ones very well. But what makes me optimistic is I think technology really can make the world a better place. And it can be pure, it can use your brain power, it can make people wealthy at the same time. And you can make it so that people pull it from you. You don't have to push it on them. You don't have to tell people to do something they don't want to do. Like, you make a better Tesla car, people just want it. He didn't have to bribe people to buy that. He didn't have to advertise it even. People just wanted it. So I just love the idea that, so the thing that gives me hope against all those things you said and all the noise in the world is, I don't want to quite say build a better mousetrap and people will beat a path to your door. That's not true. You do still have to stand out, and you have to make a whole bunch of other things work. But because the world is so flat now in terms of reach, that people aren't hiding under. Comparing it to this, Leonardo da Vinci, he's in Florence. His radius of reach was 50 miles. Yeah. He was designing all these incredible things, but people knew about him for 50 miles away. Or maybe he would be known in Rome, but he would have to take a carriage there for a month, to get to Rome from Florence. We don't have that problem anymore. We have the whole globe as our reach. So you can use your brain power and actually positively impact people with things that they want. Yes. By filling that need. So, and you can bypass the press. Like, the press can't get in your way. If you make something that everybody wants, it doesn't matter what they say. Or at least I believe that. Or maybe I'm idealistic enough to want to believe that. But I feel that way.
Oh, you've proven it a couple times. More than a couple.
So I just feel very optimistic that you can look at society's problems, or a little bit like we've been saying as an entrepreneur. What is wrong with the world and how should it be? Let's invent the world that we want to live in. And let's try and make technology solutions to get there. And that's very exciting to me. So I feel very optimistic about being alive at this time. A little bit like Dakin said, it is one of the best times to be alive. Like, you really have what we have, the great standard of living that we have, joking about the Pharaoh getting on the plane. Like, what Pharaoh, think about a Pharaoh getting on a plane to go to Beijing today, complaining about the Wi-Fi, right? Complaining about the Wi-Fi. Think about what we have and what we can see with our minds and our brains and the power that we have today, and the little things we complain about. And yet there are some big things that we need to fix. And a little bit like you're talking about hunger. Like, we have food, and I hate the term that they use almost, food insecurity. That is a bad euphemism for people starving. Like think about it. Like, I know what myself, well, like, if I don't eat at noon, my brain starts going, in shutdown mode. I can't even think straight. Like, think about how bad it is that we have people on this planet who are going hungry. Like, that's ridiculous. So we've got to solve that. What you're doing is incredible. And all the technology solutions we can come up with to aid and abet that are so powerful. I think we can make a really big difference. So I'm very optimistic.
Me too, because I really believe that any problem humanity has created, humanity can solve. And even problems we haven't created, like, the sun will eventually blow out this earth, right? It's going to explode and destroy it. And You got people like, Elon and Mikhail and people of that nature that are looking out and saying, thinking that long term. I think, whatever is overwhelming is because you're only looking at the moment and you're lost vision. It's like, everybody knows there's two things that drive us, fear or faith. And they're both made up. Imagine, what is fear versus faith? They're both imagination. Imagination about the future. No one knows what it is. But fear is imagination undirected. And so it's like weeds. It grows you and rips you to pieces. But, faith is what every entrepreneur employs. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that. There's this 4-letter word that the whole world is having to come to grips with for some reason. There's an illusion because we've been growing so fast and have so much technology and such great quality of life. It's that 4-letter word called risk. And every entrepreneur knows that you only rewarded to your ability to produce rewards beyond the risk by taking risks, by putting yourself on the line. If you're going to look for absolute certainty and security, you need to go to prison or you need to stay home forever. But the world we're in now, any problem we have, we can solve. And, Peter Diamandis, my dear friend and partner, always says, find a giant problem and you got yourself $1 billion company. Because if you can solve it, you can make that happen. And I think that's what we all as entrepreneurs, what drives us. And that's what drives the most successful entrepreneurs. Some just want to make money. There's nothing wrong with making money, don't get me wrong. But, money is only a reflection of added value. You don't make $1 billion unless you've helped billions of people, or at least 1 billion people with something significant. And all of you are driven by that. Let's go with you, Mikhail. What gives you hope in when things look a little crazy? What's your hope? What gives you a sense that the future, even the short-term future, will be greater than the past has been?
Probably it's a not fair question to me because it's a very easy question to me because I've gone in a house with no indoor toilets, like sporadic electricity. I started with a kerosene lamp. I spent my first 16 years in the Soviet Union in a small, a small town with 10,000 population. So, and I see how the life around has changed. Even let's look on Russia, which kind of now run by by Batman. Let's put it this way. But still, if you look on the people, if you look on the younger people, the technology that we have all the access, like the internet and the knowledge and the books. I mean, I have all the hopes. It's actually very difficult for dictatorships become sustainable in the new world because people is educated now. People know what's happening in other countries. My grandparents never been abroad. My grandparents didn't know what's happening in another country. But now people, except maybe for few very totalitarian country which kind of created medieval